Welcome to How to Go Independent, a podcast about independent financial advisors. Today, I have an interview with another one of my business partners, Brandon Day. Brandon and I have worked together directly for 3.5 years and have a lot of respect for him, or I wouldn't be his partner. He's very, very sharp guy, very thoughtful, deliberate, thorough, and got a great practice management head. And so we're going to kind of get inside it a little bit and talk about succession planning and contingency planning, particularly the contingency planning. You probably know there's a lot of talk about succession planning in our industry. We're not going to get into all the details of that, but in particular, the idea of what I like to call having a beneficiary for your practice. I think we do ourselves and our families a disservice if we don't do our own financial planning first. Kind of be an example for our clients. And since our practices, when you are independent, can be such a valuable asset, it really is critical that you have a contingency plan in place. So someone can, if something happens to you unexpectedly, can take over your accounts, sort through your clients and hopefully get to know them, and make sure your family gets value. So Brandon and I will get into the details. I won't belabor them here. If you'd like to read the transcript, you can find it at howtogoindependent.com. And here we go. I've got Brandon Day on the line, my partner with 360 Wealth Management, and we're talking about the importance of having a contingency plan for your practice. What's going on, Brandon?
Just getting through another day, Sean.
Excellent. Happy Tuesday. Hope you had a good weekend, and hope you have a good week and then a good weekend after that.
Yes.
Well, tell us a little bit about what we've been focusing on with our advisors in our network in terms of contingency planning, and you know why we think that's such a big deal.
Well, we've certainly, it's been made aware to us that a lot of advisors may have a handshake deal of a contingency and or succession plan. A lot of them don't have any kind of formal contract or agreement, which means that agreement cannot be honored. Bottom line is it means your family doesn't get anything if something happens to you tragically.
And then also, what happens to your clients? If something happens to me, I don't have a plan in place. My family gets nothing, and the clients get what?
If you don't have a plan in place, they'll get a letter in the mail from LPL saying your advisor is no longer with us. You've got 90 days to get on the website and find somebody else, or we'll just simply release your account.
So it sounds like a lose-lose situation.
Yes, it's putting both your loved ones and your clients in a very precarious position.
Gotcha. I think from our experience, we found that a lot of people have a hard time knowing where to start. You know, when I know I should do that, but how do I go about it? What would you say is a good place to start for someone that doesn't know where to begin?
Well, you want to start off with looking at who would have the bandwidth and time to actually take on your clients and properly service them and keep the clients on the books. So then therefore there's a stream of income to pay your spouse or loved ones. Once you've identified the advisor or team of advisors that's going to be most suitable for this, the process is very, very simple. It's simply a few signatures on a template that LPL's already created, and all parties agree to the formula in terms of the deal. That's sent to the succession planning department at LPL to make sure that they have a copy on file, or else it might not be legally binding. So, and once all parties have a signed copy, you are protected, and also you can void that agreement at any time. So you're not at the whim of who you've talked about a succession plan with. You're still in control and can change that whenever you want.
Very good. And what kind of things why would someone want to change that?
Certainly, oftentimes we've seen pretty, where somebody has a partner who is of similar age or maybe even older, and it was the most logical succession plan was that person. But at a certain point, that person is simply, they're looking at retirement as well. Their bandwidth is declining as well. So they're really not a legitimate succession plan the way they once might have been. Or as you get to know some other options, you might find that a team of advisors or a group might be best able to properly service your book as opposed to an individual advisor.
Right. I know when people, it's certainly better to have something in place than nothing. And I think two advisors who have a mutual trust and understand each other's kind of their way of thinking and how they do business, and probably as importantly, trust that the person that you're, if something happens to you, that you believe they will pay your family as the agreement is spelled out. You want to be able to trust that. That's far better than having nothing.
Absolutely.
But at some level, then you want to think through, okay, as you go on down the road, you want to maximize the retention of clients and probably the longevity of the relationships if you can refine it even better. You mentioned the paperwork, but isn't it kind of a headache to have to sort through all that? And what would you say is involved in the agreements that we've helped people set up? How much time does it take?
It's literally just walking through the how a pass-through agreement works or a buyout agreement works, and when multiples are involved, and how the formula is going to work. We've actually created our own agreement that gives a fairly straightforward, very simple example on the addendum of how that'll work. And but other than a few minutes making sure that both parties completely understand the mechanics, it's literally 2 or 3 signatures, and then we normally, on behalf of that advisor, will go ahead and forward it to the proper person at LPL and follow up with that LPL until they confirm that they have that LPL signed off on it as well, and then make sure that everybody has a copy of the agreement signed by all parties. So essentially, we do all the legwork.
So it's really not that difficult. The hard part is picking the person. And
correct. The paperwork is about a 5-minute process at most.
Excellent. And then can you touch on a little bit of the difference between this kind of succession plan that is sort of a contingency in case something sudden happens compared to a formalized buyout in terms of what that means for who you select, and also what that might mean in terms of valuations, at least generally speaking? Sure.
Typically, what you're getting right now is a contingency plan, and that is a what if something happens to me situation. Essentially, it's more like stating having a beneficiary designation properly taken care of.
Great analogy.
So, if you have a life insurance policy without a beneficiary, it doesn't really do you a whole lot of good.
Right.
So if you don't have this plan to pass on your book, then it's not going to help really anybody when you're gone. So usually the multiples for these types of scenarios are on the lower end of the threshold, anywhere from 1 to 1.5, sometimes as high as 2 times revenue, depending on if the nature of the revenue is reoccurring or not, and those sorts of things. The reason for that is in the scenario, with it not being an organized formal buyout where the retiring advisor could introduce the new team to his clients or her clients, could do multiple meetings together with top clients to make sure they're comfortable with the process and what's happening. In a scenario where somebody has tragedy strike them, there's inevitably going to probably be some attrition and some clients to leave, no matter who is taking over the book of business, because of the suddenness of the transition. Versus a formal buyout. At that point, you're really talking about a retirement plan, now you're talking about a true organized exit strategy. And in that scenario, it's going to be more organized. Therefore, it should be far less attrition, and therefore the multiples should be better.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Yeah, it really is amazing, given the nature of the business we're in, that it's the whole cobbler's kids have new shoes, I guess, situation.
Yes, we do estate planning for our clients all the time, and most of us don't have a very good estate plan.
Right, and given that a lot of us went independent, at least partially because we knew we'd have a business that had value, kind of being able to make sure we're protecting and eventually capturing that value, either in an orderly transition or in a sudden, unexpected, not how you plan it situation. It's in either case, it's kind of critical to have this in place. So that's one reason we've been so big on it. You're seeing that kind of in the media and regulators as well, right? And LPL specifically talking about it.
Yes, LPL is definitely, per talking to auditors and where we've seen some emphasis from LPL. There's a real push to make advisors aware of this and to make sure that we're not leaving our clients completely up in the air by not having a plan in place.
And we at 360, we require everybody that is within our network has to have us as the continuity plan, right? That's kind of a mandate, isn't it?
No, you can choose whoever you want to be your succession. However, we have lots of our advisors who do choose us. They like the idea of passing it on to a team. They understand that we have tremendous amount of capacity. We have several staff. So we definitely have the ability to truly service and not be reactive, but be proactive with the clients.
Right. And in fact, we even have a couple folks outside 360 that have taken us up on that offer to be their backup plan, correct?
That is correct. So we've been sought out by some advisors who are on their own with home office supervision, but realized that they needed a plan, and they really wanted to make sure that plan would be carried out, and we were the most logical choice.
Right. And I know some people, at least one or two I've talked to, have had the idea that, I want to make sure that whoever I have as my beneficiary, so to speak, or whoever I make the beneficiary, I want to be their beneficiary as well. So basically, if something happens to one of us benefits. And I understand that logic, but I also think, at least the way I look at this personally, is the most critical factor is not, am I going to benefit if someone else dies? It's if something happens to me, is my family going to be taken care of, and are my clients going to get the attention and care and planning that I would hope they would get if I weren't there to provide it? So big difference there.
Very much so.
So is there any considerations or any reason somebody that's not with part of 360 should talk to us, or is that it's not a deal killer, obviously, but are there any reasons they wouldn't want to talk to us, or any benefits to working with us, or at least give us a call?
I can't think of any reason why somebody wouldn't want to consider somebody like us with the resources we have and the continuity, and of course the age of the three partners also, projecting that we have several years left in this business. So, we make pretty ideal candidates for a proper succession plan.
Sure. Yeah, and if someone's not, for whatever reason, wants to have more of a solo, we certainly know plenty of advisors that would be happy to chat with you as well. So, we've made connections in the past. It's a big part of what created the network was the connectivity that it creates, just like LPL as a whole, but obviously we could do that at a smaller scale, a little bit more intimate than 14,000 folks.
Absolutely. Actually be somebody who's part of a network that you're a part of. You both have your own businesses, but excellent point where some advisors just prefer that kind of that one-on-one scenario. Well, we can give you a long list of names of people you should go have lunch with and interview.
Right. Sometimes it takes a while, and I think that's, I find that I enjoy that quite a bit, and I think you do as well, but sometimes that's a time commitment that not everyone wants to make, so And that's where we're happy to be available to make sure it gets done. And then, as we tell people, hey, you can change this anytime.
Yep.
We'll be the stopgap, and hopefully it never matters. Hopefully that no one leaves us unexpectedly, but unfortunately we know that happens every day to somebody somewhere. Any other final thoughts? I think this has been a good background for someone that's hasn't taken action. I think that's the main thing I would want to get across is, do
Sure.
something. If you don't revisit it, then that's fine, but get something in place.
Something's definitely better than nothing, but you probably want to put a little thought into it. One last final point is that I've found that letting clients know that I do have a contingency plan. Hey, Brandon, if something happens to you, what happens to my money? They like knowing that I've had the forethought to get something done and show that I've been responsible with being responsible to make sure their assets and planning gets taken care of. So it could arguably be used as another added sales bullet point when talking to a prospect or client.
Great point. Yeah, I'd meant to mention that's a great point. Yeah, broadcast it. I think all the succession planning gurus mention that. Get that out there. Let your clients know you're thinking about them. Obviously you're protecting your family, but you're also thinking about their future if and when something happens to you. Good deal. All right. Well, thanks for the time, and I think this will be a benefit to people out there. And if we can help, give us a call.
And there you have it. As professionals, I think we really owe it to ourselves, our clients, our families to make sure we have a beneficiary in place. We don't want to be the cobblers whose kids have no shoe. So I think we need to set the example and get it done. Again, it can always be changed, and I think that's a great thing to remember. Have a plan, and that plan can change, just like we tell our clients in terms of financial and investment planning. So hope you'll take some action and get that done. You always want to get the right fit in place, but I think having something is the first step if you're not sure what the best fit is. So a couple resources I've found helpful are fptransitions.com, as in FP as in financial planning, transitions.com. Succession Resource Group is another big player in that world. If you're looking at going independent or already independent, look at your firm should have some resources or some ways to direct you. If you're affiliated with a network of advisors, they may have some resources. I know we do. So there's all kinds of help to get. If you're more seriously considering an actual succession plan where you're looking to sell your practice, you'll get more attention than you can believe if you put that out in the world, and lots of offers for help. But even if you're just trying to make sure your family's covered, there are people willing to help, and I think you owe it to yourself and your family and your clients to get that done. So let me know if you have any feedback. If you have a plan in place, I'd love to hear the details of it. What's the structure of it? What would you like to have the structure of it if you haven't put something in place? Or if there's a hang-up you have on why you haven't gotten it done, let me know. I'd be happy to maybe cover that in a future episode or a blog post. And again, find us at howtogoindependent.com, and we'll look forward to the next episode. See you then.